Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if after the wave Naruto was properly trained by Jiraiya part 2. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please give me hype instead of comment and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Anyways, he plans on giving Naruto both the money from the bounties and the money he tricked Tenzin out of. It's only fair after all. He did just do a C to low B rank mission, so he should get paid, plus he was the one who beat the guys with the bounties. Besides, Jiraiya makes lots of money from his books, so he doesn't need the cash. Seeing Naruto walking out of the castle with his trademark grin and the Kubikiribocho on his shoulders, Jiraiya complains, "Gaki, what took you so long? Were you having trouble lifting that oversized sword or just enjoying yourself?" Chuckling a bit, Naruto answers, "Yes, actually, I really enjoyed kicking that jerks and this sword weighs more than you do, pervy sage. How exactly am I supposed to learn kenjutsu with a blade I can barely swing?" Jiraiya responds, "You do have a point. So I guess you'll just have to build up your physical strength to the point where you can swing it like it's a kunai before learning any actual kenjutsu. Why can't I practice kenjutsu with a lighter blade until I'm strong enough to wield the Kubikiriboko?" Naruto asked. "Well, I suppose you could practice the basic forms, but to truly master a kenjutsu that fits the Kubikiribocho you'll need to be able to wield it, for its weight is part of its effectiveness and use. So you'll need to get used to its weight. To do that I want you to carry it with you at all times, until you don't even notice the weight." Jiraiya answered. "What? I have to carry this around with me all the time? This damn thing is like twice the size of me. Do you have any idea how annoying that's going to be?" A perturbed Naruto screamed. "Yeah, so get over it. The payoff in the long run far outweighs the short-term annoyance," Jiraiya said. "Alright, fine, but there is something that's been bothering me, pervy sage. I've never seen you with a sword, let alone use one. So do you even know any kenjutsu?" Naruto asked. Jiraiya simply answers in a nonchalantly manner, "Nope, not really. I just know some of the basics of using a sword. I'm not in any position to teach kenjutsu." That causes Naruto to face plant and even the Kubikiriboko seems to have a sweat drop going down it. Jumping up and pointing his newly gained sword at pervy sage, yells out, "Then what the hell was the point in getting this sword if you can't teach me to use it, pervy sage?" Hopping off the pile of thugs, Jiraiya placates Naruto by answering, "Relax, Gaki. I might not be able to teach you kenjutsu, but I know plenty of kenjutsu masters that'll gladly teach you." Putting the blade back on his shoulder, Naruto replies, "Okay, but who are these masters and where do we have to go to meet them?" Answering Naruto, Jiraiya says, "Actually you've already met one of them and we don't have to go anywhere, we can just summon them to us." A very confused Naruto replies, "Huh. I don't remember meeting a kenjutsu master, well at least one that would teach me." "And what do you mean summon them? Did they take house calls or something?" An exasperated Jiraiya, with a twitching eyebrow yells, "Toad summons, you idiot. Haven't you noticed how some of them use swords? Kami Gaki, how dense can you be?" Naruto snaps back, "Hey. It's not my fault that you didn't just say that, you loudmouth pervert. I shouldn't have to. I even used the word summon as a clue, but then again I should have known you're too stupid, figure it out." Jiraiya screamed back. Naruto fires back, "Don't call me stupid, you pervert." Jiraiya ends their argument by stating, "How many times do I have to tell you I'm not a pervert? I'm a super pervert. Hee hee hee." With a deadpan face Naruto replies, Yeah, I get it, you're a super pervert. Happy now?" Proudly Jiraiya answers, "Yup. As happy as a super pervert in a mixed bathing house. Ha ha ha." Laughing loudly to himself in joy. After his laughter dies down, he gets back on point by saying, "Like I was trying to say earlier, we can just summon one of the toads that have mastered kenjutsu to teach you, probably one of the smaller ones, we don't want you getting crushed in the process." Naruto just nods his head in agreement. He can imagine the chief toad flattening him with one swing of his building-sized blade. "Oh, by the way, here, catch. Jiraiya tossed him the small scroll he was holding. Catching the scroll with his left hand, keeping the right holding the handle of his sword, Naruto asks, "What is this?" "A jutsu?" he excitedly hoped. "Nope. Just 10 million ryo I got off Tenzen for telling him about your attempt on his life." Jiraiya answered with a grin. "What? Really? Wow. I won't have to worry about buying ramen for a long time with that much money." "Why are you giving this to me?" an extremely happy Naruto asks. "Well, you did just beat this small army of thugs without using a single jutsu, so let's call it a reward. Though I wouldn't be too attached to that ramen idea if I was you, or did you forget about having to feed an Akamichi 4 times?" Jiraiya answered with a twisted sense of humor. Remembering his deal with Asuma, Naruto's head drops with a rain cloud over it, crying about how his stupid deal just cost him his dream of never-ending ramen. Helping to snap Naruto out of his depression, Jiraiya says, "Relax, you'll get around an extra 2 million by collecting the bounties on these morons," pointing at the pile of thugs he was sitting on earlier. That bit of news gets the rain cloud to disappear and a smile to come across Naruto's face. It might not be as much, but it'll still get him a lot of ramen. Shouting out in joy, he says, "Come on then, pervy sage. Let's go collect my money already," running off at full speed, completely forgetting to grab the guys they need to turn in to collect the money, and not even knowing where to go. Jiraiya just seals the thugs up and casually walks out of the compound, knowing eventually Naruto will come back with a sheepish grin admitting he didn't know what to do. 2 weeks have passed since Naruto retrieved the Kubikiribocho and collected all that sweet Ryo, and Tenzen left Nami, doing everything he was told to do, never to come back. In a clearing in the woods, near Tazuna's house, 50 clones in the original Naruto are going through basic kenjutsu forms under the instruction of Gamatana, a small pink elderly toad dressed in a traditional purple hakama, white katajinu, and a katana at her waist. She is the head kenjutsu instructor on Mount Mayuboku and only agreed to teach Naruto because she was ordered to by the honored toad sages. The clones are using wood-carved replicas of the Kubikiribocho, while Naruto uses the real one, which leads him to often fall face forward or on his backside, smacking his face into the sword's spine or his head into ground. That causes Gamatana to hit him with her sheath for messing up his forms, and his clones to start laughing at him, ungrateful pricks. On top of his kenjutsu instruction, he has to do an arduous physical training regimen to increase his strength, plus, about 1,000 clones are divided up in training on various jutsu and skills. The most boring one is calligraphy, but Pervy Sage said it's vital that he masters it before he starts learning sealing jutsu. At the end of the day he is covered in dirt, blood, and bruises being dragged into Tazuna's home by Jiraiya because he still passes out when his clones disperse. He'll wake up a few hours later and wash up for dinner made by Tsunami. They've let both Jiraiya and Naruto stay at their house while they're in Nami, as thanks for getting rid of Tenzen and his crew. The time with Tazuna's family has been like a dream for Naruto, it's how he imagined having a family would be like. A crazy uncle that annoys him to no end, but you can't help but like anyways. A little brother that practically worships him, even though they get into the occasional argument. A stern but loving mother who'll be concerned when he comes home hurt, yet will punish him for dragging in mud. A grandfather that embarrasses him all the time, but he wouldn't trade for all the ramen and jutsu in the world. He wished it could last forever, but Pervy Sage said they'd only stay for 2 weeks, meaning they'd be leaving tomorrow afternoon. When he asked why, Jiraiya said that to keep up with his spy network he had to always be on the move, never staying in one place for too long. Even though that was true, Naruto knew that it was also because being outside the village made him an easier target for the Akatsuki and he wouldn't want to put Tazuna and his family in danger. Seeing as it was his last night with everyone, Naruto was taking his time eating, which for him is very unusual, so as to soak it all in. Just as dinner was winding down inside the house, outside 5 shadowy figures surround the house. 4 of them take each side of the house, so ask to cut off their target's escape routes, while the fifth one casually walks to front door and knocks. Waiting for a few seconds, the one at the door hears footsteps approaching and the doorknob turn. Just as door opens, an older male voice yells out, "Naruto. Don't open that door," but it's too late. As the figure's shadow consumes Naruto, he utters out, "You're." 3 weeks ago in Konoha, at the Hokage residence, inside the Hokage's office, is a fair-skinned woman with brown eyes and straight blonde hair that parts above her forehead, revealing a violet diamond mark. Her hair has shoulder-length bangs that frame her face and the rest is tied in 2 loose ponytails. She has a curvaceous frame with above-average height and noticeably large. She is in fact widely regarded as the most beautiful kunoichi in the world. She is wearing a grass-green haori with the kanji for gamble on the back, inside a red circle, a gray kimono-style blouse with no sleeves, held closed by a broad, dark bluish-gray obi that matches her pants. The blouse is closed quite low, revealing her sizable cleavage. She wears open-toed, strappy black sandals with high heels and has red nail polish on both her fingernails and toenails and uses a soft pink lipstick. This woman is Tsunade Senju, the fifth and current Hokage, and she is reading a report from Jiraiya about Naruto's training incident a week ago. As she reads the report, her grip on the scroll tightens, and when she finishes reading it, she slams her fist into her desk, splitting in half, while yelling out, "Damn that reckless pervert. He could have killed Naruto and released the 9 tails. What in Kami's name does he think he's doing? Shizune. Get in here now." Shizune is a fair-skinned woman of average height and slender build with onyx eyes and jet black hair. Her hair is straight and shoulder length with bangs that cover her ears and frame her face. She is wearing a long bluish-black kimono with white trimmings, held closed by a white obi, a mesh shirt underneath, and open-toed sandals with low heels. She was in the middle of filling out a requisition form for another desk when Tsunade called for her. Rushing into the Hokage's office, Shizune quickly answers out, "Yes, Lady Tsunade. What do you need?" Tsunade orders, "I need you and a team of Anbu to track down Naruto and Jiraiya at once." "May I ask why, Lady Tsunade?" Shizune asked, rather confused as to what's happening. "That fool Jiraiya nearly caused the 9-tailed fox to be released by playing with Naruto's seal, that's why." Tsunade replied irritably, giving Shizune Jiraiya's report. After fully reading the report, Shizune replies, "Oh my. Are you going to have us escort them back to the village?" Letting out a frustrated breath, Tsunade answers, "No, I want you to give Naruto a full checkup to make sure everything is okay. That coward of a fool, Jiraiya, is too afraid of what I'd do to him to bring Naruto here anytime soon, so I need you to go in my stead. Besides, that little brat would have a fit if I cut his training short." Despite her tough exterior, Tsunade is very worried for Naruto. He means a lot to her. "Okay, but we can't afford to send any Anbu to help me track them down. As you know, Konoha's forces are spread too thin as it is, and we can't risk the village's safety by leaving it too shorthanded in the event of an attack." Shizune responded. Agreeing with her protege, Tsunade asks, "Then who can we spare that has the required skills to aid you in tracking them down?" Thinking for a minute, Shizune answers, "I believe Team 8, led by Kurenai, just got back from a mission a few days ago, so they can go on the mission. They have an excellent mission record for tracking and capturing their target, and seeing as they're still a genin team, we can afford to spare them. The only downside is that we'd have to come up with a cover story for why we're being sent after Naruto, seeing as everyone in that team but Kurenai is unaware of Naruto's Jinchuriki status." Tsunade puts her chin in her hand while thinking over Shizune's offer. Finding no other alternative, Tsunade says, "All right, inform Kurenai to assemble her team and report for duty immediately, then go prepare as well." "Yes, ma'am," Shizune responded, turning quickly and exiting the office to follow the Hokage's orders. Half an hour later, Kurenai Yuhi and her 3 genin are standing at attention in front of the Hokage's desk, waiting to receive their mission. Kurenai is a fair-skinned woman of slender build, long black untamed hair reaching her upper back, and very unique eyes that are red in color, with an additional ring in them. She wears makeup consisting of red lipstick and purple eyeshadow. Her outfit consists of a red mesh armor blouse with only the right sleeve visible, this very broad material which resembles bandages with a pattern on it similar to those of rose thorns. Her hands and upper thighs are also wrapped in bandages and she wears the Konoha forehead protector and regular shinobi sandals. Standing in front of Kurenai on the right is Kiba Inuzuka. He's a 13-year-old boy with several physical animalistic traits like most of his clan. He has messy brown hair, sharp black eyes with vertical slit-like pupils, pronounced canine teeth, and nails that he can change into claws. He also has the distinctive red fang markings of the Inuzuka clan on his cheeks. His attire consists of dark grayish pants reaching to his calves and a gray, hooded fur-lined coat, with the hood placed on his head, over a plate of armor and fishnet undershirt, with a blue forehead protector and blue sandals. Inside his jacket is his nin dog Akamaru, a small puppy with white fur, resembling a Great Pyrenees, squinted eyes appearing closed, a brown noise, as well as brown patches on his ears and a brown outline around his mouth, and the fur on top of his head is styled to somewhat resemble a mohawk. Standing on Kiba's left, right in front of Kurenai, is Hinata Hyuga, a pale-skinned girl possessing, as a Hyuga, the Byakugan, giving her featureless white eyes with tinges of lavender. She has short Heim-style dark blue hair, kept just above her forehead with chin-length strands framing her face. She's wearing a cream-colored hooded jacket with a fire symbol on the upper sleeves and fur around the cuffs and hem, navy blue pants and keeps her forehead protector around her neck. Standing on Hinata's left, is Shino Aburame, a fair-skinned boy and tallest member of his graduating class, has dark, bushy, brown hair and dark round glasses obscuring his eyes. He is wearing a gray-colored jacket with a high, upturned collar going up to his knees and brown pants. He wears a blue forehead protector and blue sandals. While Tsunade just sits there, leaning forward with her elbows on the desk and her fingers laced together in front of her face, Kurenai can't help but wonder what's so urgent that she'd receive an emergency summons, demanding she gather her team and immediately report to the Hokage's office. It had better be important to have interrupted one of her rare dates with Asuma. With how they are trying to keep it secret, it has been difficult to find the time to go on any dates without being caught. Sure, it'd be easier if they would just be open about it, but right now she just wants it to be between the two of them and not some rumor-filled gossip being spread all over Konoha. You'd think that in a village full of shinobi people would be more closeted, but no, everyone wants to be in everyone else's business. At least just their private lives. Everyone knows better than to try and stick their noises in official business that can cost you your life in a shinobi village. Kurenai was brought out of her thoughts by Shizune entering the room and standing by her, waiting for the Hokage to speak. Once Shizune enters the office, now wearing the standard Konoha uniform with distinct extra-long sleeves, Tsunade decides to give Team 8 their mission. Alright, now that everyone is here, I can now give you the details of your mission. We've received a report from Jiraiya that a week ago, Naruto Uzumaki was critically injured during a training accident. He's supposedly fine now, but Jiraiya refuses to bring him back to village to prove it and is most likely on the run. For that reason you'll be tracking them down while escorting Shizune to Naruto, so he can get a proper medical examination. Kurenai, not understanding why this mission was so urgent, asks, Lady Hokage, why is it so important that you have Naruto examined? I highly doubt that Jiraiya would lie about Naruto's condition, so if he's alive and well, why send us to go to his aid? Two of her genin thinking the same thing, while Hinata isn't able to get past Naruto-kun being badly hurt, concern clearly written on her face. Letting out a sigh, having expected those lines of questions, Tsunade answers, because the accident involved Jiraiya stupidly messing with a certain dangerous seal that nearly killed him as well, and could have other long-lasting effects that ordinary doctors will miss. Glad to see Kurenai's eyes widen in shock, signifying her understanding at the underlining meaning of the nine-tails seal being tampered with, Tsunade simply adds, I hope you now know the importance for this S-rank mission. To be honest, I'd rather send a team of Anbu, but you all know we're simply too short-handed to spare them right now, so you'll have to do. Here's a copy of the report and their last known location. Now get going, I won't ask again. Handing Kurenai a scroll with a firm stare. Yes, Lady Hokage. We'll head out immediately, Kurenai says after taking the offered scroll, cutting off Kiba's attempt to ask what Tsunade meant, ushering her team out of the room with Shizune following after them. As they were running out of the village at top speed, Kiba yelled out to his sensei, "Hey! Kurenai-sensei! What was all that about? What kind of seal could be so dangerous that we're suddenly rushing off on our first S-rank mission?" Akamaru barking in agreement with his master, Shino merely nodding his head, and Hinata looking at Kurenai with a mixture of determination and concern, determined to go help the boy she loves and concern with his safety. Having to carefully script her words so as to not give away Naruto's secret, Kurenai takes a minute to answer. What you all need to understand is that sealing jutsu is an obscure art and can be very dangerous, and for a master of the art to nearly kill himself messing with one, then Naruto must be in even worse shape than Lord Jiraiya. I honestly can't figure out what Lord Jiraiya was thinking in training Naruto with such a seal. I'm surprised he isn't dead or worse. Hinata is the one to speak up now, in a frightened tone, "Dida dead. Naruto-kun ko-si could be dead." "No, Hinata. If he was dead your team wouldn't be on this mission. To be honest, if Naruto was dead Lady Tsunade would have rushed off to kill Lord Jiraiya," answered a serious Shizune. Shino chimes in by asking in his usual calm tone of voice, "Then what could be worse than that?" Shizune answers, "Well, for one, his chakra network could be sealed off or even destroyed, preventing him from using his chakra. Then there is even the possibility of him being sealed away in another dimension, to never return. The possibilities are almost endless, but none of them are good." Well, shit. That's not good, but that doesn't explain why it's a S-rank mission. I mean, sure, the possible damage Naruto received is as bad as it gets, but doesn't that mean the danger's past? Asked Kiba. Kurenai is the one to answer. Yes, Kiba, the danger of this mission is low, but remember we're tracking Lord Jiraiya of the legendary Sannin. A shinobi of his caliber usually isn't found unless they want to be, so we're rushing off to quickly pick up his trail before it goes cold. He already has a 1-week lead on us, so hurry up and stop slowing us down with questions. Kurenai's hoping they stop looking too close at the situation. After all, it's still illegal for anyone to talk about Naruto's connection to the nine-tailed fox. While Kiba, having come from a clan that specializes in tracking, is aware of how bad a disadvantage they're in, being a week behind their target. Add in the skills of a Sannin, which are known by just about every shinobi in the world, their chances aren't looking good. So he simply shuts up and follows his sensei, hoping to make it in time to pick up any trail. All the while, Shino is focused on collecting all the information he needs to complete the mission, while secretly wondering what his superiors are hiding about Naruto. Hinata, on the other hand, is only concerned with finding and helping Naruto. She has already known that most of the adults in the village have been keeping secrets about him, and one day she'll find out what they are, but right now she is too worried to care. Shizune is just hoping that Tsunade is just overreacting and Naruto is just fine. She'd hate to see the boy, who saved her master from her own demons, hurt. With all of those thoughts on their minds, they pass through Konoha's gates and to the scene of Naruto's accident. After 2 weeks of near-constant high-speed travel, only stopping every few days to rest, Team 8 and Shizune arrived at the clearing Naruto rampaged in. The devastation they saw was shocking, leaving the 3 genin wondering what could have caused it, while the 2 adult kunoichi are only wondering how Jiraiya was able to suppress the 9 tails. With Kiba and Akamaru not being able to pick up any scent, they went into the nearby town to ask around about Naruto and Jiraiya. They lucked out that almost everyone in the hospital heard the argument Jiraiya had with Naruto, so they now knew that their targets left for Nami a week ago. Arriving at the Great Naruto Bridge leading into Nami, a week later, they had to listen to Kiba bitch about how Naruto already had shit named after him. Fortunately, it was easy to get information on Naruto once they got into Nami. Apparently Naruto had destroyed a local crime organization 2 weeks ago, freeing several small towns from their rule. Not to mention how Team 7 had saved all of Nami from Gato 2 years ago, that continued to piss off Kiba as Naruto was constantly being referred to as Nami's hero. While that brings a blush to Hinata's face, she was happy that there are people who really admire Naruto, like she does, and a little jealous that some of the girls there are openly crushing on him. What right did they have to her Naruto-kun? They weren't there when he was alone, hurting, crying out for people to just recognize him. She was the one who. That's when she realizes that she wasn't there for him either, just watching him suffer and persevere on his own, never reaching out to ease his pain. The way she saw it, she was worse than them. They didn't know, but she did and still did nothing to help him. All because of her own cowardice. Sure, she could hide behind the fact that he was in love with Sakura, but she still could have been a friend for him back when he had none. She can't even hide behind her parents, saying that they told her to stay away from him. Her mother was dead and her father stopped caring what she did after he chose Hanabi to be his heir. After thinking about all of that, Hinata decides that the only way to make it right is to tell Naruto everything and hope he forgives her, and maybe be willing to at least still be friends. Having got the location for Tazuna's house, where they heard Naruto was staying, they got there by nightfall, scouting out the area, making sure that they're not walking into a trap. This is where they decided to split up and surround the house, while Shizune approached by the front and knocked on the door, just in case Jiraiya tires to flee with Naruto. After answering the door, missing Jiraiya's warning, Naruto sees Shizune standing there with a smile on her face, and utters out in surprise, "You're Shizune-chan," happily yelling out, "What are you doing here? It's so good to see you." Glad to see Naruto fine, though slightly bruised, Shizune joyously answers, "To see you of course. After Lady Tsunade got Jiraiya's report, she sent me after you to give you a full medical checkup." Jiraiya interrupts, "Yeah, then who exactly are the 4 shinobi surrounding this house?" Suspicion clearly heard in his voice. "They're Team 8, they helped me track you down, Lord Jiraiya. After all, you were fast to flee and adamant about not bringing Naruto in to be examined after your guy's accident," Shizune said with a sweet voice that was full of scorn. Jiraiya lamely explains, well you see, we had to go get this legendary sword and ran into a crime boss and..." Naruto interrupts by yelling out, "You're just making excuses, pervy sage. You're just scared that Tsunade Ba-chan would punch you into a coma. Shut up, Gaki. You've never been punched by her at full force. That shit hurts and I'm not in the mood to nearly die twice by her fists." Jiraiya yelled, cried out. Naruto asked, "Twice? What did she catch you peeking on her in the bath or something?" Jiraiya could only look away with a blush while nervously scratching his cheek. That leads to Naruto saying with a deadpan face, "You did. Didn't you? You massively stupid, super pervert." Jiraiya snaps back, "Yeah. Well, it was totally worth it." Nobody in the house could say anything in response to that very stupid statement, so they had no other choice but to pretend it never happened. Moving on, Shizune called Team 8 to come out and head inside, after getting Tsunami's permission of course. Naruto greets all of his friends and introduces them to Tazuna, Inari, and Tsunami. While pleasantries are exchanged between Team 8 and Tazuna's family, Shizune prepares a room to give Naruto his medical examination. Jiraiya walks up to Shizune to talk to her in private, asking, "Shizune, be honest. Tell me, how pissed off is Tsunade?" Without turning around from her prep work, she answers, "Well, for starters, she snapped her desk in half after reading your report. Then she called me into her office, wanting to send a squad of Anbu after you, but couldn't afford to spare them, so had to settle for a team of genin. If I was her, I'd punch you as hard as I could and would never stop hitting you," a little heat entering her voice. "It seems that Tsunade Haim isn't the only one who's angry with me," Jiraiya responded. With fire in her eyes, Shizune quickly turns around and says with barely contained fury, "Of course I'm angry with you. What in the name of Kami went through your head when you thought about loosening his seal? It was barely even 3 months into his training and you thought he was ready to do what only 4 others in the history of the shinobi world did. You could have killed him and released the nine-tailed fox on the world. Do you know how many people would have died if that happened? What's wrong with you? With every passing moment, Jiraiya felt smaller and smaller, just standing there and taking it until Shizune got it all off her chest. When she was done, breathing heavily, her frustration diminished, did Jiraiya finally answer her with regret in his voice, "You're right. I tried speeding through his training and jumping ahead to a place Naruto is in no way ready to go. I promise that I won't even consider touching his seal again, unless it's to tighten it up. The only one who will know when Naruto is ready, is Naruto. I'll focus on training him right, that's why we're here actually, he's learning Kenjutsu like his mother. I even having him learn elemental jutsu and calligraphy, so he can get into sealing jutsu. It's good to hear that you learned your lesson and you seem remorseful, but you'll still get a beating when you see Lady Tsunade." Shizune replied. "Damn, I have it coming to me, so I'll just have to take it like a man and hope she shows me some mercy." Jiraiya dreadfully responded. "So, Naruto knows about his parents. Did he take it well?" Shizune asked while returning to her work. "Yeah, he knows about them and took it kind of hard, but he jumped back fast and now even demands I teach him their jutsu. I guess he hopes that it will help him feel closer to them." Jiraiya answered with a little laugh. That brought a smile to her face before she tells Jiraiya, "Alright, I'm finished here. You can send in Naruto for his checkup." Jiraiya just nods his head and leaves to get Naruto for Shizune, only to find Naruto missing. Apparently while he was talking to Shizune, Naruto went outside with Hinata to talk about something in private. A perverted thought entered his mind, not that shocking really, so he thinks about peeking in on them, only to be stopped by stern looks on Kurenai's and Tsunami's faces. It's a kind of look that says we'll kill you if you even try. Surrendering, he just takes a seat and waits for Naruto to return by ogling the two beauties in front of him, leading said beauties to give him a new set of killer stares. Having noticed Hinata's more withdrawn behavior, Naruto asked her what was wrong. With a blush on her face and what looked like shame in her eyes, she asked him if they could talk in private. Which is why he now finds himself in the woods at night with an awkward Hinata, the moonlight shining down on them. After a few minutes of awkward silence, Naruto asks, Hinata, wasn't there something you wanted to talk to me about?" Being startled, Hinata stutters out, "Anyo, I have tt to app apologize to you." She's having to force herself to get her words out. An overpowering fear of her crush hating her is gripping her heart, but she can't falter now, she needs to get this out or she'll never be worthy enough for him. Confused, Naruto asks, "Apologize? What for?" Hinata. Taking a deep breath to steel her nerves, Hinata clarifies, "I've watched and admired you for years, ever since you saved me from those 3 bullies our first year at the academy. I've gained immeasurable strength from watching you repeatedly get back up from your failures, a proud failure who never gave up. It's where I got my nindo from. Everyone in my life either called me a failure or treated me like I was made of glass, even my own father wrote me off as useless, but you were the first person who believed in me. Yet all I could do for you while you suffered alone, was to just watch you from the shadows, never reaching out to you to ease your pain. I was a coward not worthy of loving you. I'm so sorry Naruto, can you ever forgive me?" At this point Hinata is in tears and sobbing lightly. Naruto is too taken back to respond right away, he never noticed her until the Chunin exams, and even then he didn't see how much she cared about him. All he ever saw when he looked at her was a weird girl who stuttered a lot. He likes weird people, but he never even conceived that any girl liked him. He was too busy trying to get Sakura's affections to notice anyone else. It seems that Pervy Sage was right, he is dense when it comes to women, but that doesn't mean he's going to give up on Sakura. He'd need to talk to her first and maybe even with Hinata, just to get to know her more and see if he likes her as more than a friend. It's just all too confusing right now to even think about, let alone talk about, so he'll table that problem for now. The part about her watching him for years in secret was kind of creepy and disheartening. Just thinking about how much it would have meant to him to have had even a single friend as a child. Sure, he played with Choji, Shikamaru, and Kiba, but it was more like he played around them than played with them. Shikamaru didn't seem to care one way or the other, never making fun of him, but not really trying to get to know him. Choji was always nice to him, but just seemed to live in Shikamaru's shadow, and Kiba ended up becoming one of the ones that mocked him all the time. Hell, they just got into an argument over him being more famous than he is, but it's kind of like the rivalry he has with Sasuke, but more friendly. To have had a friend that was concerned about him and actually cared, would have brought untold joy to his life. Like when Iruka-sensei said he believed in him to Mizuki Tem. Instead of being angry, he can't help but feel bad for Hinata. He couldn't imagine what he'd do if Iruka told him he was worthless like Hinata's father did to her, and he can relate to being treated as a failure. Now looking at Hinata crying her eyes out and shaking while holding herself, Naruto grabs her by her shoulders and tells her with a gentle voice, "Hinata, stop crying, please. I'm not mad at you, I promise." Removing his hands from her shoulders as she lifts her head up and wipes the tears from her eyes. While still shaking a little and letting out a slight sob every now and again, Hinata asks, "Are you, sob, really not mad at me?" Throwing on his signature grin, Naruto answers, "Of course. I wouldn't have said so if I didn't mean it. I mean, sure, it would have been amazing to have had a friend growing up, but I can also see why you're so shy. With your own father saying that you're useless, you probably didn't have any confidence back then. Plus, I'll admit that I kind of forgot about the whole rescuing thing," chuckling embarrassedly while scratching the back of his head. That brings a small smile and a blush to her face as she says, "Anyo, thank you Naruto-kun, but I still could have done more for you." Hey, stop that. It's all in the past now, Hinata. Let's just focus on moving forward. Naruto said. Having stopped crying, Hinata responds with a full smile, "Okay Naruto-kun, I'll let it go for you." Good. I'd like to talk to you some more to become better friends, but that's going too hard with me on the road training and you back in Konoha. Naruto said. Hinata offers, "What about we exchange letters?" Absolutely ecstatic that Naruto is taking an interest in her, even if it's only his friend. "Oh yeah, Hinata, you're a genius. We can exchange letters to each other by messenger toads," Naruto happily declared. Then added, "I could keep in touch with everybody, even Sakura-chan." At hearing Naruto talk about writing Sakura as well, Hinata's joy fell a little, but she wasn't going to give up either. Unlike her, Sakura and most other girls in their age group had crushes on Sasuke, so she had better odds in her favor. Before either one of them can keep up their conversation, Shizune yells out, "Come on back inside Naruto. It's time for your checkup." Gulping, Naruto slowly heads inside, dragging his feet as he goes. After all, he hates being poked and prodded by doctors. Hinata stifles a chuckle at Naruto's antics. He's not afraid of fighting demon shinobi and monsters, but is scared of doctors. How could she not laugh a little? The next day, a group of shinobi are leaving Nami, after Naruto got a clean bill of health from Shizune, and having said their goodbyes to everyone. Splitting into two groups, one with 5 members headed back to Konoha and the other with 2 headed off in the opposite direction. They wouldn't be seeing each other for a little more than 2 years, all of the genin becoming stronger along the way. With Team 8's a group, Hinata is thinking about when Naruto told them about what really happened during his training accident. How he has the 9-tailed fox sealed inside him and how he met his father, the 4th Hokage. Also asking not to tell anyone, he wanted to be the one to tell the others. Kiba simply called bullshit, that there was no way he was 4th son, but was quieted by Kurenai, Shizune, and Jiraiya confirming it as true. Shino was just quiet, like he already knew something was up, but didn't really care anyway. Naruto was still just Naruto to him. She, to everyone's surprise, gave Naruto a hug and told him that it didn't change how she felt about him. If anything, it made her admire his strength all the more and hate herself just as much, but like Naruto told her, no more wallowing in the past, we move forward. Naruto is out there getting stronger to save a friend, while the Akatsuki are hunting him down for the monster inside of him. She has to get stronger too, so as to help protect him when they come for him, standing at his side able and ready to fight. So thinking along those lines, Hinata asks, Shizune-sama, I was wondering if you would be willing to teach me medical ninjutsu. At that sudden outburst from the normally timid Hinata, everyone stops and looks at her. Shizune answers, I don't see why not, but it's an extremely difficult art to master. To lean medical ninjutsu on top of both your clan training in the Gentle Fist and the missions you'll be taking as a member of Team 8, it will take everything you have and more. Are you sure you can handle all of that? Kurenai adds, she's right Hinata. It'll be harder than anything you've ever done before and you aren't obligated to try. I don't care how hard it'll be or how many times I fail, I won't give up. That's my nindo. I can't just sit around not giving it my all, while Naruto-kun is killing himself training, not for himself, but for his friends. How would I ever be able to call myself his friend if I did any less than him? I'm tired of people trying to discourage me from applying myself, Kurenai-sensei. Hinata responded with heat in her voice and fire in her eyes. Taken back by Hinata's outburst, Kurenai is stunned silent, unable to do anything but smile at Hinata finally coming out of the shell that so many people, from her father, to Neji and her clan members, built around her. Nodding to Shizune, signifying her approval of training Hinata in medical ninjutsu, Shizune simply says, alright then Hinata, I'll start your training when we get back, but you had better not regret it, for I won't take it easy on you. Yes Shizune-sensei, I'll give you my everything and I won't give up. Hinata yells back in a strong and determined voice. Everyone there just smiles and rush off back to Konoha, while Kiba and Shino do not plan on just standing by and letting their teammates surpass them, they'll throw themselves into their training just as hard as Hinata. It's been 1 year, 8 months and 2 weeks since Naruto left Nami, and now he's traveling along the border of Taki with Jiraiya to find the Seven-Tails Jinchuriki named Fu. Fu is a petite, androgynous, tan-skinned kunoichi who wears an orange clip in her short, layered mint green hair that matches her orange eyes. Her outfit consists of a short sleeveless white midriff shirt with fishnet armor underneath, long white armlets, and fishnet shorts with a short white apron skirt over it. Her forehead protector is worn on her right arm and she carries a cylindrical object in red wrapping on her back. Naruto has changed quite a bit in the past 2 years. His hair has grown down to his shoulders with face-long bangs framing his face, similar to his father's just a little longer. Thanks to, and with much disgust, Naruto having to eat a more balanced diet of fruits and vegetables, he now stands at 5 feet 6 and his build is composed of highly defined and compact muscle, giving him that highly sought-after V-shape. Due to his physical changes and the fact that Jiraiya's nightmare training left his old clothing torn to pieces, even the cloth of his headband had to be replaced, he had to get a new wardrobe. What he wears now is a more form-fitting version of his original outfit, with mesh armor underneath, while retaining the swirls and orange pants. The blue pieces of his outfit changed to black and his forehead protector is also longer, the ends going to the middle of his shoulder blades. The most noticeable change to his outfit are the 2 black 6-scroll holders, with the Uzumaki clan symbol on the front of them, strapped from the front of his pants, going along the sides of his upper thighs, ending around the back, connecting above his butt cheeks. In those holsters are 6 scrolls each, the ones on his right are used for holding jutsu, weapons, and sealing arrays that can capture objects in jutsu. The ones on his left are blank, in the event of having to make custom seals for various problems. The holders were a gift from Pervy Sage, given to him upon completing his advanced sealing jutsu training. He's only recently started making headway in master sealing jutsu training. The training Naruto went through nearly killed him. He was using up to 3,000 clones per training session, allowing him to master a wide variety of jutsu, and the sparring often left him broken and bloody for the first year, but now he can go toe-to-toe with Pervy Sage at full power, not in Sage mode though. He's no longer having to wear leg weights, the amount of weight the seals could add had been long since maxed out and he no longer felt them, making wearing them redundant. His top speed now is about 3 times what Lee's was without his weights during the Chunin exams, making him as fast as Guy is outside of using the inner gates. He plans on giving his weight set to Konohamaru when he gets back home, and maybe teach him a new jutsu while he's at it. He also mastered all the wind-style techniques Asuma gave him and several more, like Gale Palm, Drilling Air Bullet and Great Breakthrough, but he also found out that he has an affinity for Earth Chakra, allowing him to learn all sorts of Earth-style techniques from Pervy Sage, like Dark Swamp, Mud Wall, Headhunter, Great Mud River, Rising Stone Pillars and Earth Dragon Bomb. With his longer hair, Jiraiya taught him his hair jutsu, Art of the Raging Lion Mane, Needle Jizo and Spike Jizo, though their range is smaller and requires more chakra to use. His Kenjutsu is unique, combining the Kubikiribocho with shadow clones and wind chakra, and it's considered to be at the expert level by Gamatana's standards. The massive blade isn't seen on his back because he keeps it sealed in an array tattooed on his right wrist, only after he became capable of welding it with the ease of a kunai, summoning it out when needed. With the most pride and difficulty, Naruto finally became able to use the Hiraishin, not to same degree as his father, but still at great level. To be honest, the first few attempts had been disastrous. It was a good thing that Pervy Sage made him use clones at first. For the entire first year of trying to use it, his clones would be torn to pieces, stuck halfway inside trees, rocks, and even each other. Once, one of his clones used the Hiraishin and never returned. He still has no idea what happened to it. Eventually he was able to teleport to any of his strange-shaped kunai with the unique seal on it. They were given to him on his birthday by Pervy Sage, saying they belonged to his father. He still wasn't fast enough at creating the seal for the Hiraishin. It takes him a full minute to create in combat, but he can use it with pre-made ones in combat. Though he still has difficulty in exiting the Hiraishin and attacking instantaneously like his father could, but it's still combat ready. Being his usual unorthodox self, he decided to put the Hiraishin seal on the Kubikiribocho, not just to teleport to it, but to teleport it back to him. Again, it was a good thing he used clones at first, for it didn't work at first. But by streaming wind chakra through it he was able to teleport it to him, sparing the clones most of the time. Like most things he tries, he eventually got it to work the way he wanted it to. All in all, the training from hell was worth it. For nearly the past 2 years, Naruto has been passing messages with all of his friends through toads, allowing him to tell them all about him being a Jinchuriki and about his parents, as well as keeping up on their lives. Kiba liked to rub in that Naruto was now the only one amongst them that was still a genin, besides Choji, Ino, and Sakura, but seeing as they are entered the joint Chunin exams being held in Konoha and Suna, they most likely are Chunin now. He even went into how Neji, Gaara, Tamari, and Kankuro even went one step further and became Jonin. Shino tends to give him encyclopedic knowledge on insects and asking him if he has ran into any rare species of insects. Choji keeps bringing up the meals Naruto will end up buying him and all of the new foods he has eaten. Shikamaru rarely writes because it's troublesome, and when he does it's always about how troublesome his life is. Ino goes off on all the gossip happening in Konoha and if he'll end up looking as good as the 4th Hokage. Apparently Ino had a crush on the picture his father back in the academy days before Sasuke. Tenten keeps asking for more pictures of the Kubikiribocho and complaining how unfair it is that he has one of the legendary swords of Kiri. Lee is constantly trying to one-up him on their taijutsu training and going on about springtime of youth. Neji doesn't write much with how busy he is as a new Jonin, and Kakashi has told him stories about his father and mother. Iruka has told him how he has been going on dates with Shizune whenever they have the time and how he thinks she might be the one. Sakura-chan wrote about her hellish training under Lady Tsunade, from all the complex medical jutsu, to the painful taijutsu training that involved dodging full-powered punches from Tsunade. She went into all of the details of her life, like shopping with Ino, pulling a shift at the hospital, and even the time she cried her eyes out at losing a 6-year-old kid to cancer. He has never been closer to Sakura-chan than he is now, perhaps because he isn't there pestering her for a date and is just talking like friends. With Hinata, they've been writing about their hectic training schedules that take them in many different directions. Like how she comes off a mission to go straight into her clan's taijutsu training with Neji, Hanabi, or her father, then having to rush off late at night to train under Shizune in medical ninjutsu. Then once she was good enough at medical ninjutsu, which only happened a few months ago, she had to start taking shifts at the hospital with Sakura and Ino. He had to console Hinata when she lost her first patient, a young shinobi around their age who died from multiple fatal injuries, received on a mission gone horribly wrong. It was harder on her because she couldn't help seeing Naruto in the same condition and being unable save to him. It took a lot of promises that he wouldn't die and would come to see her as soon as he got back, to get her to stop worrying. Just like with Sakura, he has gotten a lot closer to Hinata, mostly because he finally noticed her. Naruto honestly doesn't know what to do with how he still has strong feelings for Sakura. Especially after he came to realize that he just might love Hinata too. Sometimes he wishes he hadn't started getting to know Hinata, it's caused such conflicting emotions, he was even having an equal amount of explicit dreams about Hinata as Sakura now. He made the awful mistake of asking Pervy Sage for advice. He told him that a three-way with the both of them would make great material in his biography. After Naruto's yelling and the perverted laughing by Jiraiya, did he give him the advice to have a serious conversation with them both about his feelings, and whichever one returns those feelings is his answer. The problem with that advice is that Sakura might punch him into the next life, while he knows that Hinata would return his feelings. Both possibilities kind of scare him. He could end up losing his friendship with one or both of them. Jiraiya merely stated that if he's too afraid to risk his friendship with either one then he'll get neither one. No one has ever fallen in love without been a little brave. That gave him a lot to think about, but he's still on the fence on what to do. As Naruto and Jiraiya continue their journey along Taki to find Fu, who they learn from Taki's leader Shibuki, has been sold out to the Akatsuki by his own village council, they run across a Resent battlefield. There are small craters here and there, kunai and shuriken are littered everywhere, a strange symbol inside of a circle was on the ground, and the smell of blood still hangs in the air from the two dead Taki nin. The scene seemed to suggest that a Taki team was ambushed, that couldn't have happened more than a few hours ago. Filling them with the fear that they are too late to save Fu. Naruto finds a torn piece of black clothing with red clouds on it, confirming that it was the Akatsuki. Not waiting for Jiraiya, he runs off after them, following their trail away from Taki. Jiraiya yells out, "Naruto, you idiot! Don't go running into the enemy's hands without knowing what you're dealing with," quickly chasing after Naruto. As Naruto was following the overly obvious and slow-paced trail, he was thinking about how this was exactly what he feared would happen when all of the hidden villages refused to let him give their Jinchuriki a Hiraishin seal. It gave it to them so he could instantly come to their rescue, but they were all too paranoid to let him. Hell, Iwagakure even sent assassins after him, once hearing he could use the same jutsu as the yellow flash of Konoha. It was great practice for using his ninjutsu at least, and they stopped sending their shinobi after he and Pervy Sage beat the crap out of them. Leaving them hog-tied with a note saying, "Next time we slit their throats." Plus, once Tsunade heard about the attempts on his life by Aiwa shinobi, she sent a letter of aggression to the Tsuchikage, warning him continued attack on Konoha's Jinchuriki would be considered an act of war, causing him to rescind the kill order. Jiraiya had warned him that would happen if he told the other Kages about his ability to use the Hiraishin, but he didn't care, he just wanted to keep others burdened with a Baiju like him safe from a common enemy. In the end only Gaara and Suna agreed to Naruto's proposal, but with the stipulation that he add a off switch to the seal, so he will only be allowed to use it when they want him to. Gaara would be able to activate it himself in an emergency, but the Suna Council has a seal tag they can use to counter it, not fully trusting Naruto and maybe even Gaara. At least Taki's leader has told them about Fu being in trouble and has sent them to help her, but he's not too sure what to make of her village's council selling her out. While Naruto was lost in thought, Jiraiya was intensely studying the trail they are following. It's too slow-paced and without any traces of them trying to cover their tracks. There is a very clear trail of blood and their footprints are almost perfectly visible, as if the two sets of footprints were walking. If they had really stolen Taki's Jinchuriki, then they'd be moving away from Taki at a much faster rate. Then there was the battlefield only showing signs of 1 vs 2, and there is no way any village would let their Jinchuriki get that close to the border without a protective detail. The only options that would lead to these events would be 1. Her team was caught off guard and killed, leaving her to fend for herself. 2. She was caught by the Akatsuki while sneaking out of her village with the other two chasing after her. Lastly, she was handed to the Akatsuki by her village as an exchange, sacrificing her and her team. The last one tends to make the most sense. Unfortunately, it's the only way to explain why even after getting into a heated battle with their target and killing 2 Taki nin, they're just leaving in a casual manner. Meaning they are not expecting anyone to come after her. Plus, with the secretive way Shibuki passed along that message with a sealed scroll for Fu, there can be no other option. There is no way in hell he'll hand her back to Taki, if they can save her in time from what he believes they are doing to her, extracting her biju. Having caught up with Naruto, Jiraiya says, "Naruto, we need to hurry, but not so fast that we end up getting caught in a trap. Now slow down and listen to me." Naruto snaps back, "We don't have time to slow down. If we don't hurry, this Fu girl will die." Naruto remembered the names of the Jinchuriki Jiraiya knew: Fu, Gaara, and Killer Bee from Kumo. Also, what pervy sage thinks the Akatsuki will do to the Jinchuriki once they have them, being told that extracting a biju is lethal to the host. Jiraiya responds, "Yes, but the time it takes to extract a biju can take days. We're not only lucky that we found their battle site still fresh, but that they are moving slowly, not expecting anyone to rescue their hostage. So we can get the jump on them before they can finish or even start." Confused, Naruto asks, "Why wouldn't they expect a rescue team from Taki?" Jiraiya answers, fearing how angry Naruto will get, "That's because I believe that Taki handed her over to the Akatsuki in exchange for either their village's safety, or a large amount of money and future protection from them. I can't be really sure until I put out some feelers, but that's the only way I can make any sense of this situation." What kind of cowardly assholes would sacrifice one of their own like that? Is it just okay because she's a Jinchuriki and her life just doesn't mean as much? The fucking pieces of shit. Naruto roared out in pure fury. "Look, Naruto, I said I can't prove it yet, but if it's true, then we'll take her to Konoha, away from both the Akatsuki and Taki." Jiraiya said, trying to reel in Naruto's anger. "But won't that cause problems for us if Taki demands we return her to them?" Naruto asked, still angry but more controlled. "Only if they didn't sell her out to the Akatsuki. If they did, they lost all claim to her and we have no responsibility in returning her to them. In the end, it'll be up to her. This all pointless if we fail to save her, so let's table this discussion until then." Jiraiya answered. Refocusing on saving Fu, Naruto pushes his anger aside and falls into pace with Jiraiya. Unnoticed by the both of them, half a plant-looking man is watching them follow his team member's trail, sending the image to his other half inside a cave standing on one of the ghetto statue's fingers, aiding in sealing the 7 tails. Just like 6 of the others, he's only there in a simmering holographic state, with only 2 of them actually being there. Speaking up, the plant man says in a dark and chilling voice, "It seems Hidan and Kakuzu were followed here." Kakuzu calmly asks, "Really? I thought Taki took our deal to hand over their Jinchuriki in exchange for us not destroying them. Have they betrayed us?" Hidan yells out, "If they did, then Lord Jashin will bathe in their blood." The shimmering image with purple eyes that has a ripple pattern spread over them, asks, "Zetsu, who are the interlopers?" The now identified Zetsu answers, the Nine Tails Jinchuriki and Jiraiya of the Sannin. Well shit. The Nine Tails isn't a problem, but the likes of Jiraiya is a big problem, replied a tall spiky-haired image with a large wrapped sword on his back said. That's a problem alright, we've only just started sealing the Seven Tails and it'll take at least 3 days to finish. The most we can stall with a barrier and sending someone out there with that jutsu, is maybe a day and a half at the most, the apparent leader with the weird eyes said. It's all Hidan's fault with his overly long ritual. Kakuzu states. How many times must I tell you that Jashin's rituals can't be skipped, to do so is blasphemy, and for all we know it's your fault, snaps back Hidan. Perhaps you're both just incompetent fools. Not all that surprising seeing as you both lack artistry. An amused voice said. Shut up Deidara, like you know what real art is. An annoyed deep voice said. Of course I know what real art is Sasori my man. Art is an explosion. The now identified Deidara answered. Sasori replies, no, art is eternal. Enough. No matter who is to blame, it won't solve our current problem. Their leader commands. Zetsu offers up, perhaps we can try using your Rinnegan to split the Seven Tails chakra in yin and yang, taking only the yin half. It'd be twice as fast and it'll allow us to have a complete version of the Seven Tails. It's what the fourth Hokage did with the Nine Tails, so it should work. Their leader asks, won't it cause us problems if we only have half of the Seven Tails? Zetsu answers, no, the Nine Tails has shown to have its full power when it was nearly released about 2 years ago. So as long it's a complete version of the Seven Tails it should gain its full strength in time. Then if we kill its current host the other half should reform sometime with the half we sealed inside the ghetto statue. After a moment of silent contemplation, the leader responds, alright, I'll split the Seven Tails chakra into yin and yang, then we'll focus on pulling out the yin half. That should only take about a day and a half, giving us enough time to extract the Seven Tails. Then once we're done Hidan and Kakuzu will kill its Jinchuriki and escape. If you find the opportunity to capture the Nine Tails in the process, then do, but don't try fighting Jiraiya. You'll not be able to win so soon after having sealed a Biju. Kakuzu responds, fine, but who should we send to stall our guests? The other half of Zetsu, in a lighter tone than its darker half suggests, Kisame should go, seeing as he has the most chakra amongst us. Sure sounds like it'll be fun. Plus I owe that old sage for nearly killing me with a wall of flesh. Kisame answered. Fine. Now go and buy as much time as you can. Their leader orders while his eyes glow and he goes through a series of hand signs, causing Fu to shake violently, before the chakra leaving her mouth into the ghetto's mouth changes to a darker color, but leaving at a faster rate. It takes Jiraiya and Naruto half a day of follow the tracks, moving slowly on the off chance it's a trap, before being suddenly attacked by exploding water sharks, forcing Naruto and Jiraiya to slit up. As Jiraiya is still dodging water sharks, Naruto is surprised by a large wrapped blade coming out of the ground like a shark's fin behind him, threatening to slam into him. Quickly he turns around while unsealing the Kubikirubcho from his wrist, grabbing his blade and tightening his stance, he blocks the incoming slash. As he's being pushed back by his larger opponent, he grips the ground with his chakra and starts putting all of his strength into his arms, bringing them both to a stop, swords still clashing, and gets a good look at who's attacking him. A pale blue-skinned man with 6 black markings on his face that appear to be gills, and razor-sharp teeth. He's wearing the Akatsuki black robe with red cloud markings all over it, and a headband with the Kiri symbol that has a scratch going through it. Naruto squints his eyes in thought for a moment, before yelling out, hey! You're that fish guy that was traveling with Itachi. Kisame gets a tick mark on his head as he puts more force into his blade and responds, yeah, and you're that little nine-tails brat who had to be saved from me. The added force from Kisame has Naruto jump back and release a new attack of his, by channeling massive amounts of wind chakra along the edge of his sword, then compressing it. he releases it with a downward swing of the Kubikiribocho into a large crescent wind slash. As his wind slash tears through the ground, heading straight for Kisame, Naruto yells out, "Yeah. That was then. And now I can kick your all on my own." In response to Naruto's impressive attack, Kisame merely laughs while slashing through Naruto's slash, completely destroying it, says, "Really? If that's all you got, then you might want to go get that toad sage to help you, otherwise it'll be your getting shredded by my Samahata." Shocked that one of his strongest Kenjutsu techniques was batted away like it was nothing, Naruto looks closer at Samahata, to see it moving under its wrapping, making chewing noises. Then he remembers that it eats chakra, so all chakra-based attacks are useless against him. Damn, his Kenjutsu is not strong enough to beat a Kenjutsu master like Kisame, so he'll have to create an opening to hit him with a powerful just you when he's not holding Samhata if he wants to win. He creates 3 shadow clones and takes out one of the scrolls from his right holder, throwing it into the air while unfurling it, causing dozens of tri-pointed kunai with Hiraishin seals on them, to shoot out of it, surrounding the area in them. "Well, don't count me out yet," Naruto shouted out while charging Kisame. "Hehehehe, you sound cocky for someone whose pathetic attempt at hitting me with kunai failed to even touch me." Kisame mocked while raising his blade to block Naruto's basic downward sword strike, planning to counter with a kick to his sternum. Once Naruto's strike lands, slightly buckling Kisame's knees, one of Naruto's clones comes slamming in with a kick to the back of the Kubikiribcho, having been catapulted by the other 2 clones that had jumped in the air. The added force of the clone's full body kick causes Kisame to quickly sidestep away as Naruto's blade splits open the ground. Kisame charges at Naruto's open side, a rookie mistake, but before his Samahata can slam into Naruto, he disappears in an orange flash. Reappearing behind Kisame in an instant, but unfortunately Naruto stumbles a bit before he responds with a forward side slash. Only to be batted away by Kisame, who only had time to react due to Naruto's stumble, but before Kisame can reengage, Naruto teleports again in an orange flash. For the next few minutes, all that can be seen is a series of orange flashes and Kisame blocking, batting away or counter-attacking Naruto's random attacks. Having now figured out that the kunai around him are anchor points for Naruto's Hiraishin, which is surprising that the kid can use it in the first place, despite his obvious flaw in using it, Kisame makes a made dash out of the field of kunai. Only he is stopped by Naruto appearing in front of him with another downward slice, but this time it's coated in wind chakra, forcing him to block it with his Samahata, devouring the dangerous chakra. Taking the opportunity of having their blades crossed, Kisame alters his body weight and sword angle to allow him to redirect Naruto's blade forward and into the ground, while simultaneously reaching out and grabbing the Kubikiribcho's handle with his right hand and kicking Naruto off it with his right leg. As Naruto goes flying backwards, Kisame stabs the Kubikiribocho into the ground and puts his Samahata on his back, then blurs through hand signs, "Water release." Great exploding water colliding wave, Kisame shouts out, causing a large explosion of water to wash away all of Naruto's kunai and slamming into him as he crashes into a tree, flooding the area in water. "Not bad, brat, but your Kenjutsu is nowhere near mine. The Hiraishin caught me by surprise. It's not a jutsu seen since the yellow flash of Konoha. It's just too bad that you're not nearly as skilled as he was in using it. Plus, you wasted your only shot by trying to best me in Kenjutsu." Kisame laughs out victoriously. Kisame's laughter is cut short by Naruto teleporting right in front of him, slamming a giant Rasengan into his chest. Blood spurts out for his mouth and the ground around them breaks as he is repelled off his feet into nearby trees, only stopping after smashing through about 20 of them. What Kisame failed to realize is that Naruto knew he couldn't beat him in Kenjutsu and that his Hiraishin is still flawed. So he let him take the Kubikiribocho, that he had a Hiraishin mark hidden inside the removable part of its handle, knowing that he'd then get rid of, or get away from his kunai field. Then while Kisame's guard was down from his supposed victory, Naruto used the Hiraishin mark on his blade to land a massive blow that couldn't be blocked by Kisame's annoying chakra-eating blade, and had a large enough attack radius that he could hit him without aiming. In short, it was all a setup to get Kisame to put away his Samahata. Naruto might not be the sharpest kunai around, but no one thinks faster on their feet than him. Picking up his sword and placing it on his shoulders, Naruto yells out, "Did you enjoy the show, pervy sage?" Having easily dealt with the water clones launching exploding sharks at him, Jiraiya decided to watch Naruto's fight and gauge his progress. With Naruto's fight clearly finished, Jiraiya lands next to Naruto and says, "Yup. You've really improved, Gaki. I'm proud of you, but let's hold off on the victory party until we've confirmed he has been dealt with and we've rescued the girl." "Yeah, you got a point, pervy sage. Let's go," Naruto responded. When they both arrive at Kisame's blood-filled landing spot, they're shocked to find some nondescript individual lying dead in Kisame's place, same injuries and clothes, no sword though. Naruto asks out, did he use some kind of human substitution? Or maybe this guy was just transformed into the shark guy? Jiraiya takes a minute before answering, I don't think so. I didn't see him use any substitution techniques in your battle, and transformation techniques aren't that durable. It has to be some kind of forbidden transfer jutsu. The attacks he used and even his kenjutsu form were too perfect to be some mere stand-in. An even more confused Naruto asks, then was the shark guy even here in the first place? An unsure Jiraiya answers, I can't be sure, but I don't think so. This was most likely just a stalling tactic to slow us down. We must be too close for their comfort. So for now we need to focus on finding where they're extracting the 7 tails. With that in mind, Naruto seals the Kubikiribocho back up in his wrist, while Jiraiya seals up the body of Kisame's doppelganger for Tsunade to examine later and maybe get an explanation on how he's a doppelganger. They then continue picking up the trail they were following, but to their dismay they find it mostly gone. It appears that someone was destroying the trail while they were occupied by Kisame's copy. Fortunately there are still some traces of it. Whoever was responsible for cleanup must have not had enough time to do a complete job. Thanks to the distraction, the mostly destroyed trail, and having to move with even more caution, it took them another half day to get to a cave blocked off by a boulder. Fortunately that means the Akatsuki only had a day to extract the 7 tails, and that's not nearly enough time, so they are not too late. The bad news is that the boulder has a 5 seal barrier placed on it, so they now have to find 4 other seal tags in the area and remove them, which will most likely be booby-trapped, before they can remove the 5th seal tag on boulder, allowing them access to the cave. Even with Naruto flooding the area in shadow clones to search, it took them nearly 5 hours to find all of the seals. Then another 6 hours to defeat the doppelgangers themselves. Clones were unable to remove them and they had to go themselves. Then they had to make it back to the cave, where they rested for an hour to regain their lost chakra. In total they ended up wasting another 12 hours. Now being able to remove the last seal tag, Naruto has a clone remove the last tag while Jiraiya creates a giant Rasengan to smash through the boulder. Inside the cave with the Akatsuki, the sealing of the 7 tails Yin chakra just finished at the same moment Naruto and Jiraiya removed the last seal tag. As the other members of the Akatsuki simmered out and Fu is released from the chakra holding her up, falling to the ground, the leader tells Hidan and Kakuzu that they know what to do before disappearing along with the Geto statue in a puff of smoke. Just as the Geto statue is gone, an explosion erupts from the entrance of the cave, covering it in dust and debris. When the dust cloud clears, Jiraiya can see 2 men dressed in classic Akatsuki attire. One has medium-length gray hair that's slicked back and distinctive purple eyes, has on dark green nail polish, his Yugakure forehead protector around his neck and Jashin amulet. He's not wearing a shirt under his cloak, has on gray pants with matching shinobi sandals and a triple-bladed scythe on his back. The second one is a very tall tan-skinned man with unusual eyes, green irises, no pupils and red sclerae. He wears a gray hood covering his hair, a black-colored mask covering his lower face, the Takigakure forehead protector with a scratch in the middle, and gray pants with matching shinobi sandals. The first man, Hidan, takes his scythe off his back and raises it with the intention of killing Fu with it, says, "Alright, time to give another life to great Lord Jashin," prepared to slam his scythe down on the unconscious Fu, ending her life. Earth style. Raising stone pillars, Naruto's muffled voice rings out, a series of sharpened stone pillars pierce through Hidan's entire body, stopping him from killing Fu, while Kakuzu merely jumps out of the way. Kakuzu looks at where Fu is, only to see an empty hole in her place, irritably saying, "It seems someone has taken off with the Jinchuriki, I'll kill you Hidan." Surprising Jiraiya, Hidan responds unaffected by what should be mortal injuries, "Shut up Kakuzu. I wish I could die and you act as if it's my fault the Jinchuriki got stolen. It is your fault. You should have just killed the girl right away then prattle on about an offering to a stupid kami." Kakuzu snapped back while smashing Hidan free of the pillars with a black-coated arm. "Ouch. Be gentle. It fucking hurts when you do that. You should respect others' pain and don't speak such blasphemy." Hidan fired back. "Just shut up and go after the Jinchuriki while I hold off the Sannin. And remember not to kill the boy, we still need his Biju." Kakuzu ordered. Hidan merely gives him the finger while jumping through the opening in the cave. Jiraiya tries to intervene, but is stopped by a darkened fist smashing into the ground in front of his path. The appendage is connected by a bunch of black tendrils leading back to Kakuzu's arm. Turning to face his opponent, Jiraiya says, "Well, that's a creepy look you got there. Are you going for monster reject or stitched together reanimated corpse?" Hidan merely chuckles while taking off his cloak and shedding what looks to be two masked black tendril monsters. They then fuse together and open their mouths, releasing a fire and wind combined attack that consumes the cave in flames. Naruto is running through the trees with an unconscious Fu in his arms, when he is suddenly surprised by a huge explosion of fire going off back at the cave with pervy Sage. He's concerned for his master, but he knows he can handle it, and besides, the plan is for him to get away with Fu while pervy Sage keeps the Akatsuki busy. Jiraiya will escape once he's far enough away that he can't be followed. Naruto is interrupted by a three-bladed scythe nearly cutting him in half, as he dodges at the last second by leaping to the ground. Looking up, he sees Hidan looking at him with a crazed sneer on his face and the scythe on his shoulders, surprised the nut job is still alive after taking his jutsu. Hell, he could still see the holes in his body. "Did you really think you could escape from Jashin's divine judgment?" Hidan laughed out. Naruto responds by simply creating a clone to hold Fu while he unseals the Kubikiribocho and takes a stance, then says, "I don't care about any kind of kami's judgment, but if you want her you'll have to get through me first." Hidan starts laughing hysterically before yelling out, "All perish before the will of Lord Jashin." He then launches forward with his scythe held above his head by both hands, hell-bent on killing his prey, but he bypasses Naruto and goes straight for his clone holding Fu. Her blood will be the first tribute to Lord Jashin. Clank. The sound of metal clashing as Naruto used the Harashin mark he put on Fu while fleeing with her earlier, to intercept Hidan's attack with his blade. After pushing Hidan back, Naruto yells out, "What the hell? Why are going after someone who can't fight back? I'm your opponent, not her." Hidan just starts laughing hysterically again, but even louder than before. Lifting his scythe up to his mouth, where one of his three blades have some blood on it, Hidan then licks the blood, while making a triangle inside of a circle with his own blood and says, "I have cursed you and the ritual shall now begin." His skin has turned pitch black with white outlines appearing as a skeleton over his body. "Gwa ha 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 ha. All the preparations are done," Hidan added. Naruto stands there with a sweat drop going down his head and blood coming from a cut on his cheek, replies, "Whatever you say, weirdo, but you can't beat me no matter how crazy you are." Naruto charges Hidan with his blade drawn to the side, only to fall to the ground in pain as Hidan pulls out a stake and stabs his own right leg. Naruto looks at his right leg from the ground to see it bleeding in the same spot Hidan stabbed himself. "Do you now understand Jashin's punishment?" Hidan screams out in a sick kind of joy, while stabbing himself in the gut over and over again, avoiding anything vital and vigorously wiggles the stake around, causing Naruto to roar out in agony. Hidan is lost in twisted pleasure of hearing Naruto scream out in pain, thinking about how once he gets his current victim to pass out from pain, they do still need him alive, he'll get to experience the ultimate pain with the girl. To him there no greater pleasure than feeling the pain of someone else's death. So lost in his twisted pleasures, Hidan fails to see Naruto go through a series of hand signs, art of the raging lion's mane, to grab Hidan and stop him from causing any more harm to his body. As the lion-shaped hair catches Hidan by surprise, lifting him back off his feet into the air, outside his circle on the ground, Naruto feels the impact of his own attack, and as it feels like he's being wrapped in tight steel wire, the pain suddenly stops. Looking at a cursing Hidan in his grasp, then the circle and back at Hidan, Naruto realizes that whatever jutsu was hurting him ended because Hidan was out of the stupid circle on the ground. With the curse ended, the Nine Tails chakra quickly gets to work healing Naruto's body. Testing to see if he is no longer in danger, Naruto throws a shuriken at Hidan, cutting his ear. When nothing happens to him, Naruto then crushes and pierces Hidan's body with his chakra-infused hair. Hidan screams in pain as all of his bone are shattered and all of his muscles are torn, organs and flesh punctured. Hidan yells out in a mocking tone, "Haven't you realized that I'm immortal yet, you fool? I'm blessed by the great Lord Jashin and he'll punish you for interrupting my ritual to him." Seeing that the crazed lunatic really is immortal, Naruto comes up with a good, yet horrendous, idea. Shifting his hair to hold Hidan's left arm, then to Hidan's right arm, then down to take his legs, then pulls with all his might. Screams of pain come from Hidan as his flesh can be heard tearing apart, and with one last horrid scream his limbs are torn off from his torso, which falls to the ground with a thump. Hidan's removed limbs are dropped to the ground near his torso as Naruto's hair recedes back to its original size and shape. With a smirk, Naruto says, "Yeah, well, you might not be able to die, but as a pile of pieces you won't be doing anything. Now will you, Stumpy?" Hidan yells back, "It doesn't matter. All I need is my teeth to chew out your throat. No matter how long it takes, I will kill you." While grabbing the Kubikiribocho off the ground, Naruto casually walks over to Hidan's torso and says, "I suppose you have a point, so I'll have to take care of that as well." Lifting his blade up, he then brings it down, cutting off Hidan's head. "Ha ha 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 ha. It doesn't matter what you do. I can't die, fool," Hidan mocks. Scratching the side of his head as he leans on the Kubikiribocho, that he stabbed into the ground, says, "I guess you're right. Oh, I know what to do. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 6, alright, 6 pieces of you and 6 spare scrolls, that works out perfectly." Taking out the 6 blank scrolls in his left holder and creating sealing scrolls out of them, he has clones gather Hidan's body parts. Hidan asks while his head is lifted up by his hair, "Ouch. It hurts when picking me up by my hair, brat. What the hell are you doing anyways?" "Oh, I'm just going to seal up your body parts in different scrolls to make sure you can't be put back together," Naruto casually said while finishing off the sealing scrolls. "What? You can't do that to me, you little shit. I swear I'll get free and tear you apart. You hear me? Even if it's hundreds of years from now, I'll get out and release a just vengeance on your family, village, friends, everyone you'll ever care about." Hidan yelled out, along with a stream of curses and foul language, until his head was finally sealed away. Putting the now sealed Hidan scrolls back in their slots, Naruto walks over to the downed Fu, his clone having dissolved from Hidan's curse, and moves to gently scoops her up into his arms. Only to be stopped by a pair of orange eyes looking up at him. It seems Fu had awoken at some point during his fight, if you could call it that. Getting down on his haunches, Naruto asks, "Hey, are you okay?" Fu cracks out a weak reply, "I feel weak, but otherwise I'm okay. W who or why you and why did why you help me?" With a soft smile and gentle voice, Naruto replies, "I'm Naruto Uzumaki. I helped you because your village leader, Shibuki, told us you were in danger and asked us to save you." Fu asks, Why would you be willing to go through all that agony for me, and why would Shibuki send you? Naruto answers while scratching the right side of his head. So you saw the whole me being cursed thing, huh? Well, how could I not endure it to save you? I mean, it was just some pain. That's not as important as your life. Suddenly getting a blush on her face, Fu tries to hide her face with her hair. She's never had anyone but Shibuki say something like that to her, and he's always been there for her like a father. While this yellow-haired stranger just comes along out of nowhere and saves her from certain death. Acting like it's the most natural thing in the world. She's never even had a friend before, being raised in isolation by Shibuki for her own protection, yet she just met someone who'd risk their life for her. She didn't know how to react. Instead, while trying to avoid looking him in the eyes, responds, that still doesn't explain why Shibuki would trust you over Taki nin to save me. I don't know all of the details, but it seems like there are some traitors in your village who sold you out. Shibuki must have wanted us to help you because he knew we wouldn't hand you over to the Akatsuki. Naruto answered, unsure how she'd handle it. That can't be. Shibuki taught me that loyalty and friendship are the most important things in the world. I know I don't have any friends, but as a kunoichi of Taki they should still be loyal. Fu snapped at Naruto with as much strength as she could muster. Taking on a saddened look of knowing, Naruto responds, for most people that's very true, Fu, but Jinchuriki like us aren't always looked at as people. Some are too frightened or hate-filled to see us as anything but as the biju sealed inside of us. That can lead people to do horrible things to us, while thinking they are being loyal to their village. Tears start to fill Fu's eyes as she knows that before Shibuki found her, she was hated by everyone to the point that they tried to kill her. She was hoping that after being taken in by Shibuki and doing great at the Chunin exams, people of Taki wouldn't be afraid of her anymore. That she could finally make friends, but she was wrong. They'll never see her for her. Like Shibuki does, she'll always be alone. Then it hits her. Wait. You're a Jinchuriki too. Smiling again at seeing her tears stop, Naruto answers out enthusiastically, yup. I'm the Jinchuriki of the nine-tailed fox, Naruto Uzumaki, the next Hokage. You know. So that's why Shibuki trusted you? Fu asked. Yeah, I sent a letter a while back asking to meet you and see if you'd let me put a Hiraishin mark on you. That way I could save you if the Akatsuki ever took you, but your village leader said he wouldn't risk your safety by allowing me to just teleport to you at any moment. To be honest, just about all the villages said the same thing about how I could steal their Jinchuriki, so they all said no. Look, I'd like to talk to you some more, but Pervy Sage is battling the other guy and I need to get you to safety first. So will you come with me? Naruto answered. Fu was quiet for a minute before nodding her head silently. Naruto took that as his sign that it was okay to pick her up in his arms, causing Fu to become crimson and looked away embarrassed. Looking back at the direction of Pervy Sage's fight, Naruto whispers out, "You'd better be okay, Pervy Sage." Taking off with Fu to their designated rendezvous point, hoping to see him there before having to move on to their next spot. An hour later, back at what used to be a cave, Jiraiya is slightly battered and highly irritated at how after killing this guy 3 times, he still won't stay down. Apparently, each of those masks of his has its own heart with its own chakra network, allowing him to have all elemental affinities and for them to work autonomously from him. So it's more like a 5-on-1 fight than 1-on-1, man did he get screwed on opponents. This Kakuzu is an old man who boasted about fighting the first Hokage, meaning he's got to be like 100 and has a lot more experience than he does. Plus the sick way he keeps alive by ripping out the hearts of his victims while they are still alive really puts Jiraiya on edge. Kakuzu in the meantime, is worried about being down to 2 hearts, that hasn't happened in a very long time. Realizing that when Pain told them to flee was actually a valid point and not an underestimation of his abilities, he decided that it was time to flee. All the money in the world is not worth his life, so he made the decision a long time ago that no matter how much he was going to make, that he was to flee if he got down to 2 hearts. With his next course of action decided, Kakuzu uses his remaining affinities of water and lightning to unleash a massive wave of electrified water at Jiraiya. Jiraiya simply creates a mud wall and jumps to the top to avoid it, but misses the lightning mask monster, landing in his face, unleashing a false darkness jutsu, blinding him temporarily, allowing Kakuzu to escape. Jiraiya contemplates whether or not to go after the weakened Kakuzu, but decides that he needs to meet Naruto at the rendezvous point and secure Fu. Arriving at the rendezvous point a day later, Jiraiya finds Naruto placing a wet towel on Fu's head inside an old abandoned shack, several empty cups of instant ramen laying about. Speaking up, he asks, "How's she doing, Gaki?" Jumping up in surprise, Naruto pulls out a kunai in a defensive posture and yells out, "Damn it, pervy sage. You nearly gave me a heart attack. Where the hell have you been?" Raising his hands up, Jiraiya says, "Whoa there, Naruto. Relax. I just got done handling the other Akatsuki member, and he was like a zombie that wouldn't stay down no matter how many times I killed him. He ended up escaping and I could have gone after him, but I was more concerned about you and the girl, so I let him go and came back here. Now, answer my question, is she okay?" Putting his kunai away and breathing a sigh of relief, Naruto answers, "She's really weak, but she's alive and is getting better. We were eating ramen and talking about how our childhoods were alike before she nodded off." Jiraiya responds, "Good, but I'll still check her out for myself." "Why, pervy sage? She's alive, isn't that good enough?" Naruto asked. Jiraiya answers, "Yes, that's good, but the fact that those guys were trying to kill her makes me think they must have already extracted the Biju. Otherwise they would have focused on capturing her instead, but if the Biju was already extracted they wouldn't need to kill her, she'd have already died. I need to find out what they did to her if I want any answers." Naruto replies, "Alright, but what do you hope to find?" Jiraiya answers while unsealing some equipment to analyze Fu's seal, "I don't know. I'll tell you if I find something. In the meantime, you can fill me in on what happened with that crazed scythe guy." Naruto just sits down while Jiraiya works and tells him what happened after they separated. 2 hours pass as the light in the shack dims. Night has fallen with little to no noise coming from inside. The door suddenly opens as Jiraiya and Naruto walk out of the shack, leaving Fu to rest while they talk. Naruto asks, "So did you find anything, pervy sage?" Jiraiya answers, "Yes and no. Her seal, while weakened, is still intact and her Biju is still there, but it appears as if the strain on her seal from the Biju's chakra pushing against it has shrunk by half. I noticed this while reinforcing her seal. I think the Akatsuki split her Biju in half like your father did, by separating its yin and yang chakra. If so, they already have a complete version of the seven tails, and that's why they were going to kill her, so that the other half would reunite with the half they sealed away." Naruto then asks, "Does that mean they won't target her anymore?" "No, not necessarily. The Akatsuki will most likely try to kill her when given the chance, but she'll be a low priority. If their goal is to collect all the Biju, then they'll focus on the ones they don't have, like you." Jiraiya answered. "Alright, what do we do with Fu now? I don't like the idea of sending her back to Taki where traders are waiting to sell her out again." Naruto asked. "Well, it's not up to us. Fu will have to decide for herself what she wants to do. Plus we still have to wait for her to wake up and unseal this scroll I received from Shibuki. It might have crucial information on this entire situation and might help Fu make a decision." Jiraiya answered. "Then let me open it and take a look." A feminine and somewhat weak voice let out. Turning to the voice, Jiraiya and Naruto see Fu standing at the doorway of the shack, leaning on the door's frame to stay up. Naruto quickly runs over to her, taking the place of the door frame by letting her lean on him, causing Fu to blush and Jiraiya to silently chuckle to himself. Naruto says, "Fu, be careful, you're still recovering, you should still be in bed resting." A little flustered, Fu responds, "I'm fine. I want to see what Shibuki-sensei left for me. I'll rest afterwards, I promise, Naruto." Naruto caves with a sigh and says, "Fine, but you'll do it inside while sitting down. I don't want you falling down from shock or something. Okay, Fu. As Fu give Naruto a small smile and a nod, Jiraiya playfully says, "Wow, Naruto. You haven't even been on your first date together, yet you're already so protective. Oh, young love, what a splendid thing. Ha 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 ha." That causes both Fu and Naruto to go crimson in the face and Naruto to yell out, "Damn it, pervy sage. It's not like that. I'm just worried about her health. She did just have half her biju stolen. Can't you be a pervert later?" That just makes Jiraiya laugh even harder and Naruto to pout, but Fu is shocked and asks, "Wait. What do you mean half of my biju has been stolen? What happened to me?" She's starting to hyperventilate. Jiraiya immediately stops laughing, wiping the tears from his eyes, responds in a calming voice, "Relax, Fu. Let's go inside and we'll tell you everything, and you can see what Shibuki left you in this scroll." Taking several deep breaths, Fu calms down and allows Naruto to help her inside with Jiraiya following after them. Jiraiya then goes into a detailed explanation of what he knows and believed happened to her. After a few minutes of Fu silently thinking about what she has been told, and shedding some tears over her team member's death, she asks for the scroll Shibuki gave them. With a hand seal she releases the seal on it and opens it up to reveal a storage seal. Biting her thumb to draw some blood, she then presses her hand down on it while channeling some chakra, causing a puff of smoke to appear. When the smoke dissipates, it reveals several items, a pile of clothes like what she has on now, some underwear and pajamas, a stack of around 20 million ryo, some food supplies, extra ninja tools, and another scroll containing a personal letter to her. The letter reads, "Fu, if you're reading this, then thankfully Lord Jiraiya and Naruto Uzumaki were able to save you from the Akatsuki. I want you to know that I love you with all my heart. You are like the daughter that I never had, and I'm so proud of the young woman you've become. I know you'll do great things. As for the two who saved you, you can trust them, they'll keep you safe, because I can't any longer. The council went behind my back and made a deal with the Akatsuki to hand you over in exchange for Taki's safety. One of their members is a rouge shinobi from our village named Kakuzu. He left over 70 years ago, so we didn't think he'd be a problem after all this time. We were wrong. With his knowledge of how to find our village and our village's decline in strength, the Akatsuki would have destroyed us. I know that's no excuse for them betraying you, and I was furious when I found out, but I can't stop them for I don't have the power to protect our village from them. I'm sorry for that. So once I heard about what they did, I prepared this scroll for you and sent word to Lord Jiraiya through one of his hidden spies to save you and deliver this scroll to you. Looking back now, I wish I had taken young Naruto's offer, but I was just too protective of you to allow the risk of him taking you away from me. To be honest, I might have been wrong in keeping you isolated the way I did, but I just wanted you to be safe, even if it meant being lonely, and now I need to ask more of you. I need you abandon Taki and go to Konoha for protection. You'll be seen as a traitor who switched sides to become a Konoha nin, but you don't have any other option. The council has already prepared a story for the possibility of your return. They have already blamed the deaths of your two escorts on you and have written you off as a rouge shinobi. If you return now, you'd be captured and have the 7 tails removed from you, so you can never return. We'll never see each other again. I hope and pray that you can find happiness and friendship in your new life. Never forget that I'll always love you, Fu, and goodbye." Throughout reading the letter from Shibuki, the closest thing to a father she ever had, she was in tears, shaking uncontrollably. By the time she finishes, she is filled with a swirling storm of emotions, unable to process the rage, pain, betrayal, and hopelessness in her. Added with the exhaustion of her ordeal, she passes out. Fu wakes up the next afternoon, having slept nearly 16 hours, ready to discuss what she plans to do now that she can't return home. She let Naruto and Jiraiya read Shibuki's letter to spare herself having to explain everything to them. After reading it, Jiraiya then asks, "Well then, do you want to join Konoha? Because you don't have to. you can always try going at it alone or even joining another village. Fu answers, yes, I would like to join Konoha. My most precious person told me that it's what I should do. Shibuki-sensei has never done wrong by me before, why would he now? Besides, I don't think I'd make it on my own for long with the Akatsuki after me, and it wasn't another village that came to my rescue, so I have even less of a reason to trust them over Konoha. Naruto happily says, that's great, Fu. I can't wait to introduce you to my friends, Ba-chan, Iruka-sensei, and getting cut off by Jiraiya. Whoa now. Don't get ahead of yourself just yet, Naruto. Tsunade will have to agree to take Fu in as new member of Konoha Nin, and then so does the majority of the Jonin Council. They'll have to take into consideration that Fu could be a ploy to unleash the Seven Tails on Konoha, or even acting as a spy for Taki, before they decide to take her in. It'll take some time and we'll have no idea what they'll decide until then, so be patient. Naruto asks with worry in his voice, then what's Fu supposed to do until then? Jiraiya answers, that's simple, Naruto. She can just stay with us while we finish your training, you still have about 5 months left. That should be more than enough time for Tsunade and the Jonin Council to come to a decision, if that's okay with you, Fu. Fu answers with a smile, yeah, that sounds good to me. I don't mind spending more time with Naruto, and besides, what other choice do I have? It really did sound good to her. She seems to have finally made her first friend in Naruto. Getting to spend 5 months with him will help her build on that friendship and hopefully get to know him better. Alright, I'll finally have someone else to talk to than Pervy Sage. I'm getting tired of having to listen to all his perverted stories, Naruto excitedly shouted before giving Fu a big hug in appreciation. While Fu nearly collapses from suddenly being hugged by Naruto, her body still being overly exhausted from half her biju being extracted. Jiraiya just shakes his head at Naruto's overabundance of energy, nearly hurting the obviously worn-out girl. Shifting his focus as Naruto finally realizes his mistake and is apologizing to Fu, Jiraiya gets to work on sending out a report to Tsunade. He'll fill her in on all that happened and how she's going to have to convince the council to take in Fu. Plus he's going to send the corpse of Kisami's body double and the scrolls containing the immortal Hidan, to gain intelligence on the Akatsuki and see if she can figure out how to kill him. Jiraiya doesn't envy Tsunade with all the work and problems he's sending her. Though to help out the Fu problem, he'll send her all the information he has on her situation, including the scroll that was handwritten by Taki's leader stating that she was set up and discarded by Taki's council. His bigger concern is that he knows that Danzo is going to try and get the council to take in Fu so that her biju can be extracted and sealed inside a loyal Konoha shinobi, but he trusts Tsunade to keep that from happening. All that he knows for sure is that the next 5 months will be interesting, to say the least. Maybe he'll get some good material for his books through Fu and Naruto. Jiraiya starts giggling pervertedly to himself as Naruto and Fu feel chills run up their spines. The first 2 months with Fu had been rather fun for Naruto. He had someone new to spar with and he nearly geeked out on Fu's awesome wings, wishing the fox gave him something cool like that. Then there's how Fu's as excited and hyper as he is, meaning they tend to understand one another with little to no difficulty. Plus she a total tomboy, she's not afraid to get down and dirty with fighting or pranking Pervy Sage, or even each other. One time Fu actually helped him get Pervy Sage drunk and trick him into going into a cross-dressing bar once. He nearly peed himself from laughing so hard while watching Pervy Sage dancing with a dude in drag, and run away screaming about how he felt something poking against his hip. On top of all of that, he could really relate with her pain at being a Jinchuriki, the loneliness of isolation they both experienced. Sometimes he'd find out that they ended up talking the day away without realizing it until night fell. He also learned that Fu actually ended up saving some of his friends during the Chunin exams she was coming from before being captured by the Akatsuki. She saved Ino, Choji, and Sakura from a giant scorpion that had captured them. He was on pins and needles when she went on about the guy trying to extract Gaara's biju, then her own, only stopping him by stalling him with a cocoon to protect herself. Fu also enjoyed his stories from the Chunin exams, all the way to getting his Kubikiribocho in Nami. They both shared a cry over his story about Haku and Zabuza, and how even though they were his enemies, he learned what it meant to have real strength and to carve out his own path of the shinobi from them. She was even supportive of his desire to bring back his friend Sasuke and even offered to help him do it. He honestly never been this close to anyone of his other friends, not even Sakura-chan. Fu couldn't believe how happy she was to finally have a friend like Naruto. She always dreamed what it would be like, but never thought it'd be this great. He just seemed to get her, like they had always known each other. When they shared stories, she couldn't help but see the similarities between them. They both had been hated by everyone and grew up alone, wishing just to be seen and accepted for who they are. She was also inspired by how Naruto was able to make so many friends and find a path all his own. She didn't like how he had this big crush on Sakura, a girl she saved during the exams. Fu feels like Sakura is abusing Naruto's love for her to get him to do whatever she wants. Having finally experienced what having friend is like, she can't stand that someone would exploit one for their own gains. If Sakura doesn't love Naruto, then she should clearly explain it to him. Not using it to get her crush Sasuke back at Naruto's expense. To be honest, Fu still has these warm feelings about Naruto that she couldn't quite understand. It was like she couldn't stand being away from him without missing the warmth he seemed to radiate all the time. She even went to Jiraiya to ask him about it, if he could help her understand these unfamiliar feelings growing inside her. He said that it meant she's attracted to Naruto, but not necessarily in the romantic sense. That in many ways, Naruto just seems to give off this aura that attracts people to his side. Though, she could be physically attracted to him as well, but that's for her to figure out. After laughing pervertedly, he gave her copies of his Makeout series, saying they'd help give her a clue about what romantic feelings are and if that's what she feels towards Naruto. After reading the first two, she had to admit that they did help, but they also started to give her vivid dreams of her and Naruto doing similar things as what was done in those books. It's making it hard not to blush when looking at him, and sometimes she peeks on him in the bath. Oh Kami, she's turning into a female Jiraiya. Well, not as bad as him, she only cares to peek on Naruto and sometimes gazes at other women when she bathes. What? She's curious about how her figure stacks up to other women. There is no crime in that. Fu never really thought about her appearance before now, but she really wants to know if Naruto see her as beautiful. But how to go about it? Then, as several plots in the Makeout stories point out, yes, there is a plot outside all the, just because she finds him physically attractive and even wants to have with him, that doesn't mean she is in love with him. It was around the 4th month with Fu that Naruto started to realize that Fu was attracted to him, from the supposed accidental gropes during their spars, to the way she tends to touch him in an excessive amounts. Once he swore that he saw her peeking on him in the bath. To be honest, he was attracted to her too, enjoying the way her felt when she'd press them up against him every chance she got, to how she come out the bath in just a skimpy towel. He just didn't know what to do. Even though he feels a deep connection to Fu, he still hasn't figured out his developing feelings for Hinata and his longtime crush Sakura. It's not like he can have all three. He's not a super pervert like Jiraiya or a character in one of his perverted stories. Besides, just because she's beautiful and he's fantasized about sleeping with her, doesn't mean her loves Fu. Though he really enjoys spending time with her, she just doesn't make him feel that extra warmth in his soul that he gets when reading the responses from Hinata and Sakura. Desperate to figure out what to do, Naruto asked Pervy Sage for advice, against his better judgment. Which seemed right when Jiraiya just told him to try for a harem and started laughing pervertedly. After getting his fill of chuckles and Naruto cursing him out, Jiraiya eventually told him to explore his feels for Fu by taking her out on a date. That when put in a romantic setting he'll be able to see if his heart and mind are solely focused on Fu or someone else. If all he can think about is Fu, then he should go for it and start dating her. But if not, then he should upfront about his feelings and try to break it to her easily. So Naruto decided to lay all of his cards on the table with Fu and be prepared to take a beating from her if need be. He figured that he'd take Fu out to the festival going on in the town they're staying in. Then once they are alone and had their fill of the festivities, hopefully he'd have his answer and not break Fu's heart. Fu was absolutely overcome with joy. Naruto surprised her by buying her a green yukata with an orange obi and himself an orange yukata with a green obi, then asked her out on a date to the festival. Finally, all her efforts to get Naruto's attention paid off, and if everything goes right, she'll know how she really feels about Naruto. Possibly going from having her first friend to having her first boyfriend. Fu came to realize that her feeling for Naruto go much deeper than she originally thought when a month ago, word came back from Konoha that she was accepted as an official Konoha nin. When it came time to put on her new forehead protector, she couldn't do it. She broke down crying about how her old one meant so much more to her, and to have to throw it away like garbage was impossible for her to do. Jiraiya had to explain that it was a necessary part of becoming a Konoha nin and that her old one was just a metal plate from a village that betrayed her. Naruto, on the other hand, had taken her old forehead protector, flipped the metal piece over and engraved the other side with the leaf symbol of Konoha. All that calligraphy came in handy, making it look professionally done. Handing it back to her, he said that just like his forehead protector, hers carries a weight of success built on effort and is an irreplaceable gift from her most precious person. That this way she'll still carry her past, but be able to move forward with the future Shibuki gifted her with. At that moment, Naruto showed her that he cared about her and knew exactly how she felt. How could she not start falling in love with him? That's the only real question. The festival was great. Naruto and Fu hit just about every stand, playing and winning every game. They got so many prizes that even after giving a lot away, Naruto was forced to seal away the rest. Then there was all the food they ate, from sashimi to yakitori, and takoyaki to taiyaki. They felt like they were going to burst. Naruto ended up burping mid-sentence and started to apologize, only to be stopped by Fu burping even louder. They actually end up having a burping contest right there. Others even joined in, mostly guys, but in the end Fu won with a huge belch lasting 2 whole minutes. Call him weird, but there is nothing cooler than a girl who not only doesn't mind him burping, but actually outdoes him. After hours of fun, Naruto and Fu are sitting on a hill overlooking the festival, completely isolated from everyone, Fu leaning into Naruto's right side, her head resting on his shoulder, his right arm wrapped around her. The fireworks have just started lighting up the dark sky as they both enjoy the warmth of each other's presence. The moment feels as romantic as it can get for the both of them at this moment in time. But there's a major problem for Naruto as holds Fu tighter. He's thinking about someone else. Feeling Naruto's grip tighten on her, Fu makes her move. She looks up at Naruto and calls out his name in a soft and sensual voice, getting him to look down at her blushing face. Moving closer to each other, their faces inching forward, their eyes hooded and filled with want, Fu bridges the gap, sealing her lips with his. It's a tender first kiss, each one taking their time enjoying the feeling of the other's lips. Naruto's hands move to Fu's hips, while she shifts into his lap, her knees on either side of him, and snakes her arms around his neck. Pulling back, ending their kiss, to catch their breath, Naruto is surprised when Fu suddenly tightens her grip on him and smashes her lips to his. This kiss isn't tender, it's filled with burning passion and lust. Trying to open his mouth to speak, Fu's tongue slips inside, exploring every inch of his mouth. Not sure what to do, having never been in a situation like this before, Naruto just lets her explore until his tongue starts pushing back. The tongue fight ends with Naruto's tongue making it into Fu's mouth, exploring it just as thoroughly as Fu did his. After several minutes of this, desperately needing air, they both pull back with a string of saliva connecting them, breaking as they catch their breath. Naruto can feel Fu's moistening hot panty-covered mound grind against his hardening erection, causing them both to moan. Fu is elated that Naruto clearly finds her attractive. if the impressive bulge pressing against her core is any indicator, but feels somewhat off. Her body is telling her to keep going, yet her heart isn't quite as sure. Meanwhile, Naruto knows that this wrong because it wasn't Fu that on his mind while they were making out. Instead of seeing her orange eyes peering into him, he saw featureless lavender eyes. Stopping things from going any further, Naruto breathlessly yells out, "Wait. This is wrong. We need to stop Fu." A bit uncertain herself, Fu pulls back and asks, "Why? Do you not find me attractive?" Some of her insecurities popping up. Naruto quickly replies, "No. Of course not. You're beautiful, Fu. It's just that something feels off." Fu cuts in. Naruto asks, "You felt it too?" Fu reluctantly nods her before replying, "It feels good being with you. From all the fun we've been having and to being on top of you, kissing and grinding. My body's hot for you and yours is for mine," emphasizing that point by grinding into his erection. Moaning himself, Naruto tries stifling it as Fu continues, "But my heart, my soul don't feel the same way. Why? I know I want you but I can't." Lowering her head to rest on his shoulder, lost in what to do. Naruto closes his eyes and takes a deep breath, relieved that it's not just him, opens his eyes and says, "I really do like you, Fu, and my body feels the same way. I've never had a friend that I've gotten this close to before. I can't see my life without you in it, but I still have these feelings for Sakura-chan and Hinata-chan. Back when I started my training trip 2 years ago, Pervy Sage said something to me that had me doubt my love for Sakura-chan. Then only a few weeks later Hinata comes and drops a bomb on me about how she feels about me. I was at a loss at what to do, so I just pushed it to the side and threw myself into my training." Taking a second to reflect, he continues, "Then over these last 2 years I have been talking with both Sakura-chan and Hinata-chan through messages, finding out that the feelings I tried to ignore were stronger than ever. With Sakura, I got to know her in a way I couldn't before, falling for her all over again. Yet I know that it's only because I've stopped trying to be with Sakura that way. Just being her friend has brought me so much untold joy that I now know that we're better off just being friends. Even though there will always be a part of me that still loves her." Fu looks up from his shoulder to see a look of sorrow cross his faces, hurting even her heart as she sees the depths of pain in Naruto's eyes. Taking another deep breath, Naruto continues. "Then with Hinata, I got to see her for the first time, and over the past 2 years I got closer to her than I ever thought I would. Finding out that I have feelings for her too. At first I didn't know what to do with these feelings. But then I learned that she, in her own endearing way, told me that she loved me. And in that moment of realization I came to love her too." A bright smile gracing his face, replacing the pained eyes from before with warmth and joy. "Then I got that fateful message asking me and Pervy Sage to save you from the Akatsuki. At first all I thought about you was that you're someone like me, burdened with a biju, and I had to save you from the same fate that awaits all of us Jinchuriki. But over these past 4 months, I've come to have one of the best friendships I've ever had, to the point that I developed feels for you and started noticing how beautiful you are." Fu blushes but still asks with a sorrow-filled voice, "You don't love me? Do you?" Naruto answers, "No, I don't love you that way. I thought maybe I did, which is why I asked you out, but when we were sitting here enjoying the fireworks, I was thinking about Hinata. Even to the point that after we kissed and I looked into your eyes, all I saw was her gazing back at me. It doesn't take a genius to know what that means. And I don't think you love me either. That's why you feel that you can't do what our bodies want." Fu places her head back into Naruto's shoulder and responds, "Why, you're right. I really like you a lot. No one's ever made my laugh as hard as you have, and I definitely love your body. The way your rippling muscles and glisten as the steaming water pours over you gets me wet. But I don't feel that warm sensation flooding my heart that Shibuki-sensei said I should feel when I find the one I love. How when I meet the man I'd one day marry, I'd end up loving him even more than I do Shibuki-sensei. And I don't love you more than the man that raised me." Naruto looks at Fu's face, glad to see that she feels the same way he does, but can't help but focus on just one thought. Getting him to accuse with a heated face, "You have been peeking on me in the bath." Fu lamely explains, "What? I got curious about and wanted to take peek at what a man looked like." Naruto slaps his palm to his face as he groans out, "Oh sweet Kami. You're becoming as perverted a pervy sage." What's next? Collecting his perverted books and walking around in public while reading them. Somewhere in Konoha, Kakashi sneezes while rereading one of his favorite makeout volumes, wondering who's talking about him. Fu chuckles lightly before responding with a full blush, "Well, I actually got interested in by reading Jiraiya's books, that I love by the way, so don't insult them. It's not like I can control that I'm attracted to you physically and wanted to see what you were packing." Seeing that Fu was being completely honest with him, Naruto says, "I should have known pervy sage was somehow involved in your newfound peeking habits. Alright, I get it and I fully accept you for who you are, no matter how pervertedly weird you may be. But don't expect other people to be as accepting as I am about it. And please stop peeking on me in the bath." Fu replies without an ounce of shame, "No promises, Naruto. I enjoy it too much just to stop now." Naruto once again groans out in frustration, before saying, "We're losing focus here. Let's get back to the whole not loving each other thing." Though he couldn't hide the blush on his face. The thought of Fu wanting to peek on him is actually very flattering to him, but he doesn't want her to know that. Fu then starts grinding herself into Naruto's newly hardening erection. It seems to me that you like me peeking on you." Naruto's face has turned crimson as he stutters out, "Will you stop that F Fu? We need T to be S serious H here and N not think A about." Fu pouts but still doesn't get off his lap and grinds a little harder. "Why? Just because we're not in love doesn't mean we can't have some adult fun." Her voice becoming sensual. As Fu's hands lock around the back of Naruto's neck, Naruto is having a hard time not feeling the hot moist mound grinding down on his ever-hardening length. His heart is pounding and this breath picks up as he sees Fu's lust-filled eyes, unable not to picture and want what could happen. Using all his willpower, Naruto grabs Fu by the shoulders, getting her to stop grinding and off his lap. "Stop. Life isn't like those books, Fu. We don't love each other and our first time should be with someone we love. Right?" Fu's replies in a smooth voice, "I know life isn't like those masterful books, but I know for a fact that isn't always about love. People have always had just for the fun of it. Several women I've talked to about it in the bathhouses told me that it's great to be with someone you love, but you never know how long it can take to find that special person. There's nothing wrong in enjoying yourself until you find him. We all get lonely from time to time and have urges that need to be scratched." Naruto tries to fight back, "But we only get one first time and I want it to be with someone I love. Don't you want that too?" Fu's head drops as her voice becomes solemn, "I nearly died a few months ago and I didn't even have a single friend. You saved me, which does play a large part why I'm attracted to you, and gave me a new lease on life. I'm not going to let anything keep me from living to the fullest. You have found that person you love and I know you want her over me, but I don't know how long it'll take me to find my love. With the Akatsuki out there looking to kill me and the very nature of your lives as shinobi, I could be killed before then." Naruto tries comforting her, "I won't let you die. I promise you that you'll live to find that special guy one day." Fu fires back with a melancholy, "You can't know that for sure, Naruto. I know you will, Fu. You're an amazing person that any guy would be lucky to be with. Stop. Please. Just listen to me, Naruto. I know you'll give everything you have to keep your word, but life can be cruel and unfair. I don't want to die with any regrets. I know that if my first time is with you and even if I died the very next moment, I'd not have any regrets about it." Naruto looks into Fu's sad, need-filled eyes, he replies, "Fu. I can't betray Hinata like that." Fu quickly responds with desperation, "You aren't together yet. Please, just for tonight let me know what it feels like to be loved. To feel like everything the world is right and things finally make sense again. Naruto's mind is running as fast as a lightning jutsu as he thinks about everything she said. He's been told his entire life that should be with someone you love, but he's seen thanks to Pervy Sage that that's not true. But his heart is telling him who he really wants to be with and how he wants that to be forever. And what's more, he can tell something is very wrong with Fu. Naruto finally speaks up, "I'm sorry Fu, but she's already told me that she loves me. To then turn around and sleep with someone else would be a betrayal and I won't do that to any of my friends. Not Hinata. Not Sakura. Not Sasuke. And not you." Fu replies in a tone equal parts pain and rage, "How would that be betraying me? You'd be giving me what I want." Naruto yells back, "Because it's not what you really want. You're trying to run away from the pain in your life by doing something that can't be undone. With me would just be an escape. Stop being afraid of the terrible things that might happen and start living for the good things that can happen." Fu's rage die on her tongue, yet she still tries, "I'm not afraid of living, I just. I. She slowly starts sobbing as the dam breaks. Naruto pulls her into huge as he gently soothes her, "Your entire world just got thrown on its head and you're desperately trying to figure out where up is. Putting on a strong front, pretending that everything is fine when all you really want to do is cry and curse out the world. I know because I've wanted to do the same thing many times in my life." He should have noticed this sooner. Fu just seemed too fine and happy about everything. Yet, how could anyone be okay after losing everything they had and being forced to start over? He knows he'd be a wreck if he was betrayed by Konoha and forced to leave behind all his precious people. Just as he would have turned to his comfort of training during the bad times, Fu turned to the only good thing around her, namely him. Then thanks to Pervy Sage's books and those matured women's advice on, she went to being his friend to trying to have with him to start feeling good. Fu sobs out, "With my home turning on me. Forcing me to leave behind Shibuki-sensei, the closest person to family I've ever had. I just don't know what to do anymore. Why did this all have to happen me? What did I do to deserve this?" Naruto pulls her a little tighter to him, stroking her hair as he replies softly, "Nothing. No one deserves that to happen to them. Especially not you. I know this might sound hollow to you, but you have to try and move forward with your life. There's plenty of good things and people waiting out there for you, so long as you have the courage and strength to take that big first step out into the world. What if I can't do it? You can. I know you can. How can you know that?" Fu snaps back with tears spilling from her eyes. "Because you have me right here, ready to help you," his voice radiating warmth and strength. Giving her a moment to sob, hiccup, he continues, "And not just me, but Pervy Sage too, for whatever having that old perv around is worth." That got Fu to chuckle softly, "Hey now. I actually like his perverted ways. They make him fun and bring a great quality to his books." Naruto laughs, scoffs, "Really? They seem boring to me and sometimes he goes way too far with his so-called research." Fu responds somewhat defensively, humorously, "Yes, his books are that good, but a guy like you, who'd pass up sleeping with a babe like me, is just too dense to understand them. Besides, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of peeping every now and again." "Hey, I'm not dense. I just didn't want to take advantage of you. And there is plenty wrong with peeping on people," feeling a little bit insulted. Fu innocently replies, "Really? I thought I was the one trying to take advantage of you." Her index finger pressing into her cheek as she puts on a thinking posture. That time they both break off into laughter, just as the fireworks display goes into its final bursts, lighting up the sky in large series of colorful explosions, capturing both their attention for a few minutes. As the display comes to a close, Naruto says, "Even though he can't be with you anymore, I know Shibuki will always be with you. No matter where you go or what you do with your life. Because he is the sun inside you that brightened up life and gave you hope for a better tomorrow, like Iruka-sensei is for me." Fu places her hand over her heart as she thinks about Shibuki, remembering all the times he's helped her and made happy. From all the advice on being the very best kunoichi she can be, to all the gifts and words of kindness he'd give her. Even though she grew up lonely and without friends, despised by the village even, but thanks to her sensei she always had a father and place to call home. As tears of joy and sadness pour down her face, knowing how loved she was and how she will no longer have him in her life, she can at least take solace in the fact that he'll always be a part of who she is. Thank you, Naruto. I almost fell into that dark place inside myself, ignoring what made me who I am and the people that helped me get here. I won't hide from world anymore with half-hearted smiles and desire. A smile gracing Fu's face as she turns towards Naruto. Naruto returns her smile with his own signature grin. It's good to see you're not lying to yourself anymore. Now we can go back to being friends and you'll stop peeping like pervy sage, chuckling at the end. Fu replies in a dumbfounded tone, stop peeping. Whoever said that? I've discovered the woman inside myself and my attraction to the opposite. Why would I stop looking at the beauty that is the form? I certainly enjoyed gazing at your beautiful body. Oh, and by the way, that's a large package you're sporting. Hot stuff. Eyeing Naruto up and down, visualizing his body. Naruto goes bright red from embarrassment as he yells back, will you stop that? I thought you said you weren't going hide in desire anymore. Fu starts giggling. Just because I'm not going to hide in it doesn't mean I'm not going to indulge in my desires every now and again. I'll save my first real encounter for that special person, but I'll still play around bit when I can. And you happen to be the nearest and best little fantasy one can have. There's no crime in looking and teasing a fine specimen of my desire. Raising her hands into a squeezing motion while giggling in way that closely resembles Jiraiya's own perverted laughter. Naruto starts running for the hills as a pervertly laughing Fu chases after, blurting out, come on Naruto. Just one squeeze of those buns of steel. Never. You female copy of pervy sage, protecting his butt by putting his hands in front of them as he picks up speed, Fu hot on his tail. Though, from the grins on their faces and the laughter leaving their mouths, it's all in good fun. This day will later become the day that never almost happened. Jiraiya was watching from afar with his telescope, somewhat disappointed that they didn't help inspire his writing by having, but glad to see Fu finally coming out of her cocoon of denial. Despite what people might think about his perverted ways, he's still sharp enough to see what's really bothering someone and cares enough to help them. He knew as soon as Fu started asking about her attraction to Naruto that she was avoiding the real issue that was eating away at her. It's actually why he gave her copies of his Makeout series, not for the which there is plenty of but the undertones of pain and remorse that the main character hides through his XCA pades. Jiraiya wanted Fu to recognize that she was starting to do the same thing as his character, and to be honest, he himself does, to escape the depressing times of his life. He even pushed Naruto towards going out with her to help point out that fact to her. He believed that Naruto would notice it and confront it as he's always done, helping Fu get to the root of her problems. Because, despite the kid's seemingly dense nature at times, he's surprisingly intuitive about the pain and suffering of others. Folding up his telescope, Jiraiya stands back up from his crouched position with a grin on his face. He might not have gotten the naughtier ending he was looking forward to, but Fu is in a better place and may just make an excellent disciple in the way of the super pervert.